Sound off with me, folks, on the Boston Celtics going 2 for 2 on this homestand in blowout wins. That's right, they did it Friday night against the Phoenix Suns, and they did it again on Sunday evening as they hosted the Washington Wizards. This was a 124-90 win that Boston had going into the bag, going away from the very tip. They opened up with an 8-0 run, and they coasted to the finish line with a runaway win. I appreciate you guys tuning in on YouTube, listening on your favorite podcast platforms. Please make sure to subscribe. Make sure that you send in your comments every night. I can't wait to take them for the next games coming up Tuesday and Wednesday when the Celtics are on the road. All right, back to tonight's game. This game had a little bit of everything for the Boston Celtics when you're talking about positivity. And all we want right now as we head toward the postseason is positivity for the Boston Celtics. So let's go down the list of a few great things that the Celtics can take away from this win and what we saw on the court tonight. We saw some Luke chants for Luke Kornet throughout the game. He was awesome. Yet again tonight, logging his second double-double in his last 4 games. We're going to dive into him a little bit deeper when we take some fan commentary later in the episode. The Celtics were bombing threes away all night long. Tonight in the game, they connect on 24 of their 52 three-pointers. That's better than 46% from the field. Let me just point this out. The Wizards couldn't even shoot better than 41% from the field. That includes 2-pointers. So the Celtics were on fire from long distance. We had some great Baylor Shireman minutes, and we've been getting that relatively consistently over the course of the last few weeks, right? Like, we started out this season not really knowing what Baylor Shireman was going to be. Now we're starting to see the talent that Brad Stevens and his staff saw out of Baylor Shireman while he was at Creighton, and he is starting to make a real impact when he's out there on the court. The Celtics have gotten deeper as the season has gone on because Baylor Shireman is showing that he can be a rotational player. Right now, he's probably around number 9, number 10, number 11 on the roster in terms of rotation, but it's great to have a rookie like that who can shoot the lights out, who can pass and read a defense, who can defend a little bit out there, and he plays with some fire. So it's great to have that player being added to the rotation and knowing that Joe Mazzulla can rely on him when the going gets tough and he needs to bring someone in off the bench to maybe change things up a little bit throughout a long playoff run. And trust me, that will happen because there's going to be times when the Celtics need someone else to shake things up in the rotation. So great minutes from Baylor Shireman, including a 50-second stretch where he canned a three-pointer from the right corner. Then on the next possession, gets a steal, goes up with a no-look behind the back pass to Drew Holiday for a layup at the rim. And then seconds after that, drills another three-pointer from the right wing. You love to see it. He did not look like this at the start of the season. The confidence wasn't there. The understanding of what the Celtics were trying to do on the court wasn't there. It's all there now. Baylor Shireman is playing at a very high level for the Celtics. You love to see it. So what else happened in this game? Total domination by Boston's bench. The final count, 53 points from the bench for the Celtics, 18 from the bench for the Washington Wizards. Let's do some quick math right now. That's a 35-point advantage for Boston's reserves in this game. 53 points in the game for Boston's bench, 20 of them coming from Payton Pritchard, who was on fire throughout this game. He hit 4 3-pointers. So did Sam Hauser. Derek White made 5 of his own, getting back to the three-pointers coming throughout this game. The Celtics were on fire from distance. They made 24 three-pointers. That is double the amount that the Washington Wizards made. And by the way, Washington only attempted 7 fewer. So that number wasn't that different, but the makes were what was different. This Boston team just has so much skill from distance. It's no wonder why they are going to run away with the record for most three-pointers ever made by a single team in NBA history. The record is already set. Boston did that in the last game, and now they're just going away from that record, and they're going to continue to set a new one as the rest of the season unfolds with 5 games left. What else happened in this game? Absolute control of the glass for the Boston Celtics. They set a season high tonight in offensive rebounds. That's 25 offensive rebounds for the Celtics, many of them coming from Luke Kornet, who grabbed 9 offensive rebounds on his own. Let's put that into context, okay? For the Washington Wizards, there was only one player on the entire team who grabbed more than 9 total rebounds. Luke Kornet grabbed 9 at the offensive end on his own. And all of those offensive rebounds led to 32 second chance points. So 25 offensive rebounds, 32 second chance points. It's going to be hard to beat any team when you're giving up that many offensive rebounds. And when it's to a team that's as skilled and smart and connected as the Boston Celtics, you got no shot. Okay, so that's another thing that happened for the Boston Celtics. And then last but not least, we saw and we heard some "We Want Marcus" chants going on in the crowd tonight. That was for Marcus Smart. I don't know why he didn't play in this game. I thought we were going to see him. He just played in Washington's previous game that they had before tonight's visit to TD Garden. I thought that he was going to get out there and play. They chose not to play him in this game, but he was getting some love from the crowd. I saw him out on the court during warm-ups. He was kind of grabbing rebounds, dishing out passes to his teammates. They put him up on the Jumbotron, and the crowd erupted, started cheering, clapping, cheering on Marcus Smart. All he was doing was rebounding for his teammates during warm-ups before the opening tip. But that's how much Celtics fans love this guy. That's how much they miss him. He deserved that love, and then as the fourth quarter was unwinding, the crowd was just saying, come on, give us a few minutes of Marcus Smart. They didn't give it to them, but it was good to see him in the building and great to see him getting that love from all of his fans who are going to be fans of him forever. I actually saw a fan in the crowd tonight who was wearing a Marcus Smart Grizzlies jersey, which really tells you just how much they love Marcus Smart here in Boston. They're buying his jersey of his time with other teams. So Marcus, we love you. Glad to have you back. Unfortunately, we didn't get to see you on the court tonight, but we wish you the best the rest of the season and in the offseason. So a ton of great stuff from the Celtics tonight. You love to see it. Shireman stands out. Payton Pritchard stands out with his shooting and his scoring, 20 points off the bench. Luke Kornet, unbelievable. Again, the bench scoring was just dominant. The rebounding on the offensive glass, dominant. You can say dominant about basically everything the Celtics did tonight because they were rolling, and they are rolling. They have won, They swept the 6-game trip. They lost one, but then they come back and they dominate their next 2 before they head out on the road now. So great homestand from the Celtics. It was brief, only 2 games, but they got both of them in runaway fashion. Excellent performance from the Celtics tonight. All right, let's get into some comments from our fans. First up, we've got Danny Celtics on Luke Kornet's ridiculous impact that he is making right now. Then we've got Faith Over Fear on what this win has them thinking about the NBA playoffs coming up in just less than a couple weeks now. Lastly, we've got Bradley McClellan with a bold prediction about those looming NBA playoffs that are starting up soon. So let's get into our first one here. Danny Celtics, you're on the clock. All right, before we get into Danny Celtics' comment here on X, I just want to remind you guys, after every single Celtics game, that's home, that's away, we have episodes of Sound Off. They're coming out for home games on YouTube for all games. They are going out on all of your favorite podcast platforms. So make sure to give them a listen and make sure to send in your commentary after every game. I'll send out a tweet on X. All you got to do is reply, and I take a few for every single game to plug them into this podcast. So I appreciate you listening. Take part in it moving forward. All right, Danny Celtic says, what does he have to say here about Luke Kornet? Luke Kornet is a monster. Luke Kornet was a monster tonight. Finishes the game with 13 points, 14 rebounds, 3 assists, was affecting the game at the rim at both ends of the court. And I got to tell you this crazy stat about our guy, Luke Kornet. All right, he's got 2 double-doubles in his last 4 games, okay? One of them in which he grabbed a career-high 16 rebounds. Tonight he grabs 14, including 9 at the offensive end. So 2 double-doubles Luke Kornet has logged in his last 4 games. Prior to that, he had played 345 games in his career prior to these last 4 games. He had 4 double-doubles in all of those games. So let me repeat that just so we can all internalize what Luke Kornet is doing right now. Luke Kornet has 2 double-doubles in his last 4 games. In the prior 345 games of his entire career, he only had 4 double-doubles. So that just tells you how impactful he is playing right now for the Celtics. He's dominating the glass. He is rolling to the rim as a rim threat and a vertical threat for all of the guards and wings who are ball handling and putting pressure on the defense. Luke Kornet is finishing at the rim. He's playing with soft hands at both ends of the court. He is impacting the game as much as any backup big in the league right now. Luke Kornet has been awesome, and right now he is reaching heights that he has never played at in his entire career, and that's just evidenced by that stat of 2 double-doubles in his last 4 games, both of which had monster rebounding totals of 16 and 14, and then prior to that, in his 345 career games before that, only 4 double-doubles. So just Luke Kornet continues to get better and better and better, and it's happening at the perfect time of year. The Celtics have so much more depth in the front court than anyone thought before this season, and he just continues to roll. So great to see out of Luke Kornet. As you said, Danny Celtics, he is a monster. Yeah, he's playing like a monster right now that no other team wants to see. All right, next up on the list for our fan commentary is Faith Over Fear. And they have to say, play our playoff games like this. Boy, would we all love that. Let's go over the numbers again tonight. The Celtics shoot 49% from the field. They have 7 players score between 11 and 20 points. No one scored more than 20. Pretty incredible balance out of the Celtics. 46+% from three-point range. Dominant on the glass. 62 rebounds to 32 for the Washington Wizards. They out-rebounded them by 30. 30 more rebounds in the game for the Celtics. Dominant on the glass. And the assists, 33 assists on 48 made baskets. That just tells you the level of connectivity on this team. And oh, by the way, this all happened with the Celtics missing 40% of their starting lineup, including one of the 5 best players in the NBA in Jason Tatum. The Celtics are deep. The Celtics are strong. The Celtics are skilled. The Celtics are playing with the highest level of IQ that you could have in basketball, the way that they are picking defenses apart and defending at the other end of the court. They look great. And if they do play at this level in the playoffs, as Faith Over Fear is asking, play our playoff games like this, it's going to be tough to beat the Celtics. And we're going to talk about that in our next comment here from our fans. But just an all-around excellent game from the Celtics. And you love to see it happening at this time of year. There aren't that many more games on the schedule, let alone games where you're going to see the top of the rotation playing in games. At some point, Joe Mazzulla is almost certain to take a bunch of those starters out of the lineup. Maybe just give it as an all-reserves night. It's a stay-ready group night. Maybe it's 2 of those. Maybe it's 3 of those. And, I mean, judging by tonight's game with Payton Pritchard going off, Baylor Shireman playing at a high level, Sam Hauser scoring 18 off the bench and drilling 3-pointers, grabbing 8 rebounds. Luke Kornet playing an excellent game. Torrey Craig being a contributor. You love to see it. The energy that and effort that he brings to the table, it really reminds me of last year's number 12, and that was O'Shea Brissett. Every time he steps on the floor, you see effort and energy, and that can change a game. So he might have his number called in the playoffs. But at some point, I do think that Joe Mazzulla might lean on those guys to give the starters some rest for a couple of games. But for right now, man, this team is playing at a high level. That one low night on Wednesday when the Celtics lost the game coming off the road trip, I just think they were tired. They looked exhausted both physically and mentally, but man, have they rebounded to put together a couple of dominant performances here on Friday and Sunday as they head into next week's schedule. All right, as I said, that last comment from Faith Over Fear, perfect segue into this comment here from Bradley McClellan, which is a bold statement regarding the NBA playoffs starting in a couple weeks. All right, here it is. No one is beating Boston in a 7-game series. And there's no qualifier there about just the Eastern Conference. Bradley is making this comment about the playoffs, period. That includes all the juggernauts out west. Okay, so what do we all think of this? All right, say it in the comments. Do you think anyone can beat the Boston Celtics in a 7-game series? I'll tell you what I think, but I want to read what you think in the comments below. In the meantime, here's what I think. I think the Boston Celtics are trending up at the perfect time of year. I think if you could ask Joe Mazzulla how a season could go, I think he would tell you this is basically exactly how I would want it to go. All of my key players have gotten rest throughout the season, and they're likely going to get more. There was a stretch of struggles right in the middle of the season, the doldrums of the season from December to late January. That's the hardest time of the year for these guys to get amped up for games. And the Celtics struggled. But they came back from it. And ever since that time at the end of January, they've been getting better and better and better. And they've been getting healthier and healthier and healthier. And now as they get toward the postseason, they might be playing the best basketball of the entire season. Now, does that mean that no one can beat them in a 7-game series? I wouldn't go that far. There's a lot that can happen in a playoff series. There's a lot that can happen in a playoff run. Someone could pick up technicals and not be able to play in a game. Someone could get injured and be out for a game or two or a series. That could happen on either side. You could run into a team that's just a buzzsaw and playing excellent basketball. And let me just tell you, in the Eastern Conference, there are multiple teams that I would point out as incredibly dangerous that can knock off any other team in the East. The Cavs might win 65 games this year. Like that's better than the Celtics were last year. You remember how good the Celtics were when they won that championship? Cleveland has been better during the regular season. They've got 62 wins right now, and they've got games left on the schedule. So let's not count our chickens until they're hatched there. Also, the New York Knicks, who the Celtics play on Tuesday night, by the way. That team is deep. It's talented. It has been able to stay the course all the while. Its best player has been sidelined in Jalen Brunson. He came back tonight, looked great. I wouldn't write them off. That team is talented. It's built to try to compete with the Celtics with all that wing talent, plus a scorer, plus a big man in Cat. I mean, that team's going to be tough. You keep going. The Pacers have been hot since the All-Star break. That team is trending just like the Celtics, trending up at just the right time of the year. And I'm never going to overlook a team that's led by Giannis Antetokounmpo. We don't know what's going to happen with Dame Lillard, but I don't care. Giannis Antetokounmpo is the level of player that can win games in a playoff series all by himself. Just like we've seen Jimmy Butler do in the past in the Eastern Conference, Giannis is that great. He can do it too. Let's not overlook that pesky team in the Detroit Pistons. Who knows what they're going to do? But I would take those other 4 teams at the top, the Cavs, the Knicks, the Pacers, and the Bucks. Like, none of those series are going to be a cakewalk if the Celtics advance to the point to play any of them. It's going to be tough to get out of the Eastern Conference, and that doesn't even talk about the level of getting to the finals and playing against whatever team winds up getting out of that slugfest out west. I said to Harris Rubenstein tonight, one of our writers and content producers for the Celtics, I said to him, he was sitting next to me at the game, I said, I think a lot of people are overlooking the Oklahoma City Thunder. This Thunder team has 0 weaknesses. 0. Okay? They have an MVP leading the way who can score. They've got great defense. They've got length. They've got size. They've got big men. They've got skill. They've got everything you would want. Depth. Bunch of guys who can come in and contribute. That team has everything that you would want to win a championship. They, in my mind, are one of the best teams that we have seen, top to bottom, in the last 15, 20 years in the NBA. So I think a Celtics Thunder finals would be like, oh, Lord, would that be great basketball. 2 incredible teams, but they got to get there. The Houston Rockets could come out of the West. They just crushed the Thunder the other night. That's a tough physical team with a bunch of skill. The Lakers are up to the 3rd seed in the Western Conference. They've got 2 of the greatest basketball players and highest level basketball players and skilled basketball players in the history of the game. In Luka and LeBron and a bunch of talent around those guys. They defend. They can shoot the 3. Then you look at the Denver Nuggets. Oh, no big deal. They've just got one of the best players and most dominant forces in the history of the league in Nikola Jokic, who could win MVP every single year. Who you have to build your entire defense around just trying to slow him down. That team has won a championship. They could do it again if they go on a run. They've got the talent to do it. You can talk about the Golden State Warriors, who now have Jimmy Butler to go along with Draymond Green and Steph Curry and the rest of the talent, length, and size and skill on that team. Like, man, whatever team gets out of the West, like, kudos to you. It is going to be tough. But for the Celtics, if they happen to get out of the East, which is going to be much more difficult, I think, here, Bradley McClellan, I think it's going to be much more difficult than you think. If the Celtics can get out of the East, then you have to beat one of those teams that comes out of the West. So just saying blanket comment, no one is beating Boston in a 7-game series. I think there's a lot of teams that could beat Boston in a 7-game series. That doesn't mean I would pick them, but I think there's a lot of teams that are capable of doing it if the stars align. So let's not count our chickens until they're hatched. As I just said earlier in the episode, let's slow down a little bit. I will say, when the Celtics are playing like this, they're going to be very difficult to beat in a 7-game series. But let's not get ahead of ourselves. We got a lot of basketball to play. We've got a long playoff run hopefully ahead of us. Let's slow down. Let's not get overly confident. And let's take every game one at a time, just as Joe Mazzulla is probably telling his guys right now in the locker room after this game. As I said, the Boston Celtics are off tomorrow on Monday. It's a travel day, a short one. They're heading down to New York, and they're going to take on the Knicks on the first night of a back-to-back down in New York. Now, watch that game, okay? I don't know who's going to play on either side. There's not much to play for either of these teams. They're pretty much locked into their seeds right now. The Celtics are going to be the number 2 seed in the East, and it's almost certain at this point, if it isn't already guaranteed, that the Knicks are going to be the number 3 seed in the East. So not a lot to play for either side. I'm going to be interested to see if they play their guys and give any extra tape to the other team that they can watch in case they both advance to the second round and meet each other in the second round of the Eastern Conference playoffs. But it's going to be a fun game Tuesday night no matter who plays. Both of these teams trending in a right direction, playing really good basketball right now. So Tuesday night, Celtics, Knicks, down in New York at MSG, and that's the Celtics' first game of a back-to-back on the road. So make sure, like I said, respond to my tweet with your comments after the game on Tuesday night. I'm going to take a few, plug them into the show, and you'll be able to find it on all podcast platforms Tuesday night. I'll see you then. Until then, have a great start to your week.